Welcome to Like It Matters Radio. My name is Scott V. Black. I'm master trainer for likeitmatters.net. I host a daily radio show called Like It Matters Radio, and I'm a life caddy. And today what I want to do is give you some control. You know, we have this natural shelter in place. We're self-quarantined. We're social distancing. And right now a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people have fear that for some it's turning into panic. And so what I like to do is give you some help, give you some hope. Because as leaders, our number one commodity is we are called to be hope peddlers. Peddling hope, pushing hope, wanting the best for other people. But without hope, people respond weird. There's 50 million Americans struggling with depression, and majority of depression falls into a category called situational depression. And what causes situational depression is our self-talk, the way we talk to ourselves. And so today I want to give you a couple pieces of information, a couple things that can help you with what's going on in your world. Because we have the circle of influence and a circle of concern, as Stephen Covey used to talk about. In other words, there are things in our life that bother us, and there are things in our life that we have control over. And what we want to do is focus on those areas that concern us and that we have control over. And so today, I want to give you just a few points of information that will help you have more control in your life, that will help you have more hope, and will help you get through this pandemic, this coronavirus, this shelter-in-place order. And so when it's done, when it's all said and done, it's in our rearview mirror, we will actually grow from it and be better from it. And so today, I want to encourage you to shelter in place like it matters. See, when you live your life like it matters, it does. And one thing we can't control is we can't control a pandemic. We can't control what governments do. We can't control what other people think or say or do. But we have absolute control over ourselves. And so I'm a goal-getter. I help people set and get goals. And my background is in neuro-linguistic programming. I'm a master practitioner of NLP. And one thing I learned a long time ago as I help people set and accomplish goals is that there are 6 elements of a well-formed outcome. In other words, 6 things must be present in order for an outcome to be properly formed. And when you properly form a goal or an outcome, it just increases the probability, the possibility that you can accomplish it. So the 6 elements are this. Number 1, state your goal positively. Focus on what you want versus what you don't want. Secondly, put your goal in context. When, where, and with who do you want this outcome? Thirdly, express your goal specific in sensory terms. In other words, when you accomplish this goal, what will it look like? What will it sound like? What would it feel like? And if possible, smell like and taste like. Why? Because those are the coordinates of things that we call real. And if you don't think something's real, you won't work hard to overcome obstacles to get to that thing. The way I put it, would you give your life for a lie? Most people wouldn't give it for the truth, nevertheless a lie. If someone says they love you, but you do not believe they love you, are you loved? And of course the answer would be no. So you must make this thing real. Otherwise, when things get tough, when you get a setback or you get disappointed, you won't pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and hit it again. Number 4, evaluate honestly the effects of achieving your goal. In other words, do you want this at all times in all situations? Is there any negative implications of this goal? But I want to focus in on number 5 and number 6 because those are the most important ones. Number 5, choose a goal that you can fulfill yourself. We have a tendency to set goals that are dependent on other people. But here's the problem. You can't control other people. And so it must be a goal that you can fulfill yourself. And number 6, choose a worthwhile outcome, a worthwhile goal. It should be something you feel worthwhile about, something that you feel driven about, passionate about. And that's why today we're talking about shelter in place like it matters. What am I? I am seldom considered, though I do more to influence everything about you than virtually any one thing in your life. I often control the time you get up in the morning, the time you go to sleep, what you eat and drink, and the very thought that runs through your head. I can make you either happy or sad, loving or hateful, cheerful or remorseful, congenial or spiteful, and in doing so, control the very capacity that you have for success. No, you don't often think of me. Instead, you blame the problem I create on the shortcomings of others. or the state of the economy, or your family, or a million other reasons. Often at times, unable to find anyone else to blame, you look for shortcomings within yourself or which to lay the blame. When my impact on your life fully is considered in your very thoughts and actions, when you are mindful of my awesome power, when you nurture and groom me for the positive use in your life, I can become more contagious than the most prolific disease ever witnessed by man. My influence will spread to every person you come in contact with. Groomed and nurtured in a positive manner, there will be no person or obstacle that can stand in the way of my success or fail to be impacted for the better. Who am I? I am your attitude. See, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, your attitude determines your altitude. There are so many t-shirt sayings out there that you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control what happens in you. You can't control the cards that life has dealt you, but you can control how you play those cards. And so the importance of attitude. And attitude is one of those words, it's technically a generalization. In the category of generalization, there are words called submodalities, nominalizations. See, these group of generalizations are nominalizations. And what makes a nominalization is this. You cannot put it in a wheelbarrow. You cannot put it in a wheelbarrow. And so this thing of attitude is so important. But what does it mean? And so today I want to break down what attitude is and show you that this is your only focus. These are the things that we must focus on. See, right now, with this pandemic going on, there's people hoarding stuff, right? There's people, what's called panic buying. And why do people panic buy? Because of control deprivation. In recent research conducted with Leonard Lee, professor of marketing at NUS Business School, we looked at the types of products that appealed to consumers when they felt control deprived. And see, control deprivation is what it's all about. When we feel that we have no control, then we respond in weird ways. We go out and do things on intuitive we just react instead of thinking things through. And so I want to give you back control. Viktor Frankl, who's considered the father of logotherapy, said this: between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. And in that space is your power. It is your freedom. In the study of transactional analysis, we understand that there's a stimulus and there's a response. But here's the thing. Our minds are 6 times faster than we can talk. And so when someone says something or does something, we don't respond to that immediately. What happens is we go to our past. We go to what we know. And so because our mind is so fast, we see something from our past, or we feel something from our past, or we hear or remind ourselves of something from our past. And then based on that, we respond. So we're not really responding to what people say or do. We're responding to our narrative about what they say or do. This is where I want to give you back your power, give you back your control. You might not be able to control getting out of your house. You might not be able to go to work. You might not be able to send your kids to school. Those are all things outside of your control. But let me give you 5 things that you can control. Number 1, you can control your intake. We have 5 portals of entry into this thing called the human experience. Those 5 portals of entries are what we call our senses. We have eyes, we have ears, we have feelings, we have smells, and we have taste, right? So you take things in by seeing them visually. You take things in by hearing them auditorily. You take things in by experience or emotion kinesthetically. You take things in by what you eat gustatory. And you take things in by what you smell olfactory. If you look at any memory you have, it's codified in the senses. There's no other way to store anything in your mind except in the senses. So what you need to be aware of, and what I need to be aware of, is what do we allow as part of our experience? We got to limit how much news. We need to watch enough news so you can be prepared but not scared. And so I would say limit your news from 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night. It's going to basically be the same news, just worse in the evening. So be careful and put some humor in you. Watch some funny things. Watch some light things. Read some positive things. Spend some time with God, or at least seek God. Maybe you don't have a relationship with God. But control your intake. Secondly, control your focus. In the unconscious brain, remember, we are unconscious creatures. We only use 3 to 5% of our brain consciously. If you're self-actualized, someone who's working to be better every day, then you might get up to 11% of your brain is consciously being used. So you got to realize that if you're going to make any lasting change, you must do it the way the unconscious brain works. And in our unconscious brain, there is something called the reticular activating system, the RAS, the RAS. It is the brain's focal center. If you look up ADD, ADHD, you will see the reticular activating system. It is the brain's focal center. And whatever you set it to, it sees. If my TV set was focused on ESPN, why would I expect to be watching SpongeBob? If my TV set was focused on Telemundo, why would I expect to be watching Fox News? What we set it to is what we see. And so you got to be aware of setting your focus on things that aren't serving you well. Stay off the Life Ain't No Fair channel. It's a tough channel. It's a 24-hour feed. It'll rip your soul out. Stay off of the Life is Hard channel. At some point, we just got to put our big boy pants on, our big girl pants on, accept certain things as they are. But we don't need to focus on it. Why? Because the good Lord put the eyes in the front of our face. Because we move in the direction we're looking, and we look in the direction we are moving. So you must control what you're focused on. The body releases 63 known chemicals, and those chemicals are being released based on 3 things we can control. Based on what we're focused on, in other words, what we're thinking about. Secondly, based on our breathing. And thirdly, based on our physiology. Specifically, your eye placement in relation to your physiology. And so you are in control of your focus. And so control what you're focused on and how much stuff you put inside of your experience. Number 3 thing we can focus on and control is our BS, our belief system. You know, everything we do or do not do is driven by a belief system. Nobody's responding to reality. We're responding to what we believe is reality. Everything we do or do not do is driven by a belief system. Once you understand that, then you take a look at the structure of your beliefs. Some people believe in A, some people believe in B, some people believe in God, some people don't believe in God. But those beliefs dictate how we show up, how we respond. And so one thing I do in my training at likeitmatters.net is that I actually go in the structure of people's belief system. Do you know what you believe and why you believe it? That's something I do in my radio show. I have 3 tenets of my radio show: inspiration, education, and application. If you want to listen to it, go to likeitmattersradio.com. You can listen to the archived messages. And by education, I do not mean the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. We must take a look at what we believe, because what we believe dictates everything we do or do not do. Which brings us to the 4th thing that we can control, and that is our map of reality. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody responds to reality. What we respond to is our personal map of reality. In other words, you don't respond to what people are doing. You respond to what you believe people are doing. Roger Bannister was the first person to run a sub 4-minute mile. And he and a few of his arch rivals wanted to be the first one to run 4-minute miles. They believed it was possible, but no one had ever done it. He finally did it, and he set the record book straight. He was the first person to ever run a sub 4-minute mile. 45 days later, his record was broken. Now, after much research, I can't give you a solid number, but within 12 months of Roger Bannister running a sub 4-minute mile, somewhere between 12 and 100 people ran a sub 4-minute mile. What Roger Bannister did is he broke the belief barrier. That is the key. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what you believe is really important. Your map of reality, what you buy into as real. So you got to be careful accepting other people's belief of what's going on. Just stay grounded. Stay positive. Stay focused on the right things, and realize that we have absolute control over our attitude. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failure, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, or a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is hold on to the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. we are in charge of our attitudes. So this is Scott V. Black encouraging you to shelter in place like it matters.